The new unit we'll be discussing today is financial math. Today we'll be talking about simple interest. Let's begin with some definitions. Interest. Basically, just think of interest as money that's earned above and beyond what you have put into your bank account, your GIC, or your investment. The amount of interest depends on 4 different things, and we'll be talking about that today. We have the principal, which is the money we start with. And the interest rate is the percentage at which the interest is earned on, and that R value is a decimal. So for example, if I had 5%, this would be 0.05, and it can be calculated by taking 5 and dividing by 100. And that's what you'll usually see me write instead of writing 0.05. We also have the time, and we also have to determine the type of interest earned. And today we'll be taking a look at simple interest and compound interest. Simple interest is defined by this equation. Make sure you highlight it. You need to remember that. Make sure you add this to your cheat sheet. Notice I put a star beside it. You need that. Where I is the amount of interest, P is the principal, R is the rate as a decimal, and T is the time. T equals time in years. Just try to remember that and underline this portion of your note. Simple interest is commonly used for periods less than a year. So let's go over some problems. Determine the simple interest if $500 is invested for 2 years at 6%. You'll always get a mark for writing your equation, and then a mark for the appropriate substitution. Now notice that since the amount of time invested is in years already, we don't have to change it. Punching that directly in your calculator, you're going to get the following. $60. This next problem is similar to the others, save for one thing. I is equal to PRT, just like before. We have our principal, which is $12,500, and it's invested for 8 months at 8.6%. Now, here's what we'll do. Let's just do our full substitution. You'll notice that I still did the 8.6 over 100, and that's because you guys had difficulty in your last test. Your last test, you had difficulty changing decimals. So in order to avoid that, for percentages, we just take whatever the rate is and divide by 100. Now, because our time is not in years, it's in months, we have to convert that. And we know that there are 12 months in a year, that's why we have 8 divided by 12 here. Punch that directly in your calculator exactly as you see it, and you'll get the following answer. Round to 2 decimal places, please. $716.67. Example number 3 says, determine the rate of interest if $2,000 is invested for 5 months. Here's how we rearrange it. You're going to write the following triangle. So we have I equals PRT. In order to solve for R, all we have to do is rearrange by using this triangle. So if we cover over the R, that means R is equal to I divided by PT. Now notice how I'm putting brackets around PT. You guys tend to forget that anything that is multiplied is basically has to be done first, and then we do our calculation. So now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to substitute directly in and see what we get. So now we do our calculation. So R is equal to, well, our investment, our interest is 44.17. And then we're going to divide that by the bracket of whatever is there. So our principal is 2,000. So I'm going to put 2,000. And then we're going to times that by 5 months, which is 5 divided by 12. Now notice the extra bracket I put around the information. I didn't want all that information kind of spilling away, because when you do this on your calculator, you're going to have something like this: 44.17 divided by bracket 2,000 bracket 5 divided by 12 bracket, and that would give our R value. And our R value in this case, when you do that calculation, you get 0.053. So now, this is important just for R. If you're ever looking for R as a percent to convert, basically we take whatever our decimal is from our R calculation and we multiply by 100% to get 5.3% as our R value for this problem. The next problem we have here deals with time. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move my time information. In this case, it says, determine the length of time in days. $3,000 was invested to earn $19.73 interest at a rate of 4%. So we're going to take our equation, I is equal to PRT, and we're going to solve that for time. And we can do that by using this specific chart. If I cover T on my chart, what it's going to tell me is that our equation is I over PR. So let's do that. So T is equal to I over PR. Over PR. And you'll notice how I keep putting brackets around anything that is on the bottom of a fraction. You guys tend to forget that. Please ensure you do that from now on. Now we'll do our substitution to get this. Now, what we have left to do is we just punch that directly in our calculator, and we find out that we get T is equal to 0.1644. In order to change this into days, we have to do a conversion, just like before. But this time, we have to convert it by using some form of multiplication, because this is 0.1644 of a year, and we need to find out the number of days. So this is what we do. T is equal to 0.1644 years. And then we use the fact that there are 365 days in 1 year. Calculate that, and that immediately turns our final answer into approximately 60 days. So basically you just multiply 0.1644 times 365 over 1, and we get 60 days. Basically the units cancel. That's how you know you got it right. Your homework for today is page 30, number 1 through 4.